Madam Asfour, the president of the Africa Business Council, has requested to go first because she has another engagement soon after this. So, as we mentioned earlier, this particular panel will be looking at enhancing sustainable tourism in Africa. So, Madam Asfour, kindly, you can start us off with a few remarks on your experience, with, especially under the AFCFTA, and how tourism plays a role in that space.
So it is fairly populated. Current population is estimated at 12.2 million people, roughly distributed per person in 19 square kilometers.
African private sector.
Specifically, South Sudan is north
by the Heads of State Summit decision to be the voice of African private sector, including SMEs, women and youth. And we all know that tourism is a growth inclusive business. So it affects aviation. Egypt are here, Ethiopian are here. It affects the taxi driver, transport, cultural industries, resorts, tourism, everybody, even the women in the rural area who is cultivating and giving products to the hotel is affecting it. So we have a potential opportunities actually within our whole continent for sustainable tourism, for creating wealth for our people through tourism. But what we do really want to do, that's why I applaud my dear brother, chairman for Africa Tourism Board, for bringing us here together as private sector, as governments, as organization, because what we need to do is to have three pillars. And I always say it's like the triad of empower. Three pillars is about private sector strengthening in the field of tourism, including SMEs, women and youth, policy advocacy of supporting the tourism industry with incentives. The third is really about how we do product development for our tourism industry. Many of us don't know the whole continent, what does it have? As my brother have really alluded, my sister here from Zambia, if you go to the Zambezi River and the Victoria Falls, you'll be like, wow, why do you go to Niagara Falls if we have the Victoria Falls? And the Pearl of Africa, my brother here in Uganda, if you go to the source of Nile, it's a huge, huge thing. My brother, I have been actually to South Sudan, to Juba, beautiful. But not only that, all of us in Africa, we don't know about each other. So when I was chair of Commercial Business Council, we did the tourism book index, which was about the touristic attractions in each country. So I will be happy as Africa Business Council to work with Africa Tourism to build on what we did already on the Commercial Business Council, to have the whole touristic attractions within the continent and make promotion among ourselves, because many of us don't know actually what is happening. And we are promoting it as the Grand Africa Tour. Under ACFT, we are one single market. So how do we really make awareness among our women, our youth, that they don't have to go to Paris or England or whatever, or any touristic in the Maldives. We have here the shores. So we have all the kinds of tourism as we know. But we need a mapping exercise of the existing on the continent. We need to really promote the incentives for the private sector to invest. I was telling my sister here, within the Zambezi River and Falls, we need restaurants, we need cruises, we need hospitality services. So we need really to see how we promote the African private sector to invest in the touristic attractions. But more than all of this, how do we really put incentives, and our policymakers understand that tourism is creating wealth. And for instance, when I went to South Africa, I needed to have a zip lining with my children. I was there during the last intra-Africa trade in Durban. I went to Cape Town. I had to book through American agents on the internet. This is not acceptable. Our tourism industry is based on all the big companies across. When you put in the Google search, they get for you tourist organization which is outside the continent. We need to empower our own touristic industry so that when you search on the net, you get our own private sector companies that really go. If you go to Ghana, my brother, I was just in Ghana, beautiful places in Ghana, but we don't really go. This is actually how we make awareness. Even our TV programs, our cultural programs, we need to make awareness among our people, our youth. Many women already go, for instance, to Dubai to make shopping there. They don't know that we have shopping here. And they go to for instance, other for attractions. We have, you know, here the pyramids and the Sphinx in Egypt, but you don't know about the holy journey of the Sacred Family. While Virgin Mary and Jesus was here, and they were here, and we already monitored to where they go. So if you want to go to a religious, you will have it here. Go to beaches. We have across our continent 18,000 miles, nautical mile beaches and resorts. If you want to go to touristic, there is safari, there is everywhere. So what we need to see is to join efforts and to see under Africa Business Council, our founding vision is a competitive, borderless, innovative Africa for trade, investment, and industrialization. So the hospitality industry is huge. We have developed under Africa Business Council 20 clusters. 2 of them is related to what we're talking about now. It is about tourism and hospitality industry and transport and logistics, because among ourselves also aviation, if you in Europe you can go by $100 or less, even between the whole over Europe, while here in Africa, to go from one part of Africa, it is very expensive. So I really applaud all of you to come together to see how we make budget aviation among us in Africa. And of course, we are looking for the infrastructure for transport, to see how we have railways, roadways, so we can drive all the time from Cairo to Cape, from Lagos to Mombasa, from Accra to Cairo. So how are we going to do that? The role of the private sector is very important, and we'll be happy to see how we can coordinate to make this book of touristic attraction on the continent. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. I have to run because I'm inaugurating now the Africa Industrialization Week. Thanks a lot. I will come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Asfour, and all the best in your inauguration session. I will give